So the first thing I want to basically just share will be, as this webinar is about Shopify, that the possibility that you've encountered or that you've landed on a Shopify site in the last 7 days is very, very big. Um, this is just a snapshot of a few well-known e-commerce platforms within Australia and New Zealand specifically that is indeed running some element of Shopify in the background, whether it's the main site, the whole thing, or just the e-commerce platform of it. And as you can see that these are well-known brands, and this is just a snapshot of those. So there's many more, and I'm going to actually share a little bit about that in the next slide as well. So if we look at the market segment for e-commerce platforms, usage across Australia and New Zealand, Shopify is indeed in the forefront of that. So, across Australia, 28% out of, all the other well-known e-commerce platforms, and then on the New Zealand side, 29%. And that is partly why Microsoft is actually putting all their momentum behind Shopify, because it is a well-known, well-established, and user-friendly e-commerce platform to ultimately present and sell your products online. And no presentation is good without some statistics. If we and this might actually come as a surprise. So if we look at Shopify instances, first of all, across the globe, there's well, this is also a few months old, these statistics, but there's more than 27 million instances of Shopify across the globe. It's a lot, and every one of those customers is not only just selling product, but they need to maintain their finances as well in the background, and they need to do the fulfillment of those products that's being sold. In the US alone, almost 14 million instances of Shopify. And then if we focus more closer to home on the Australian front, we've got 700 or 600, almost 660,000 instances of Shopify running actively within Australia, and then 111,000 instances within New Zealand. So again, just bringing that home, each one of those companies, whether they are big or small, has got the need to not just sell their products, but efficiently sell their product, efficiently be able to fulfill the product after the selling cycle has been done, in such a manner that you can ultimately keep that relationship with a customer, and you'll have a returning customer coming back. Just giving you a little bit of a broader scope of things, those are the statistics that I've pulled out, but you can see across the globe that there's indeed a massive footprint of where Shopify is actually touching. And then just bringing them, bringing it back a little bit closer to home, across all our different states in Australia specifically. And there you can see some other brands and other names of, companies that's running Shopify in the background. That's talking about the Shopify site, but what about Business Central? So from a Business Central point of view, as an introduction of what Business Central actually is, it is a connected cloud business management solution that allows your company to grow, and its aim is on the small and mid-mark organizations, and it is indeed tapping into that large organization as well. Connected means that you can bring all your modules or entities within a company, whether that's finance, sales, service, or operation, together, and bring that into one application so you can actually get more insight out of your data, and you can be more agile, and be able to pivot quicker. So from a global point of view, adapt faster, be prepared for that disruption that can come through, so that you can actually utilize your data, gain insight of that, and then make strategic decisions. Work smarter will basically allow you to have more confidence in your actions, because you've got that knowledge and that throughput on the ERP side. And then perform better as well is to ultimately just, again, focus on what you do good, great from a finance point of view, but then bring that through to the organization from a strategic point of view. So that's the main focus, or the main aim that Microsoft is pushing through the product towards the market. If we look at Business Central as a whole, when you go onto Business Central, or if you are using Business Central at the moment, it is indeed a software as a service, or a SaaS solution, but you are actually buying not just the product itself, that is quite comprehensive, as I said before, sales, finance, accounts receivable, accounts payable, the full warehousing module, service management, manufacturing, and project management as well. But you are also having that native Copilot integration that's infused into the product as well. So that is one area that Microsoft is really pushing, and it's just gaining momentum so much more that you can, use your everyday activities, but having that AI infusion to just streamline the process a little bit better. There's native integration to your Office 365, and that's Teams and SharePoint for that collaboration, Excel for that pushing and pulling data between the products, for whether it's data migration or even just reviewing your data real time within Excel and modifying data back into Business Central, or your Word for your default stationery layout that the customer can actually go and update and change, and not having to rely on a developer on the back end. And then that Outlook connector that allows you to be on the move, mobile, and actually still look at your data within Business Central. And then on the other side, look, native connection into your Power Platform. Microsoft recently launched 70 plus default or native reports that is connected to your Business Central instance, that's showcasing some insight on that. And I'll actually show on the next slide some of that as well. Power Apps, Power Automate for that workflow capabilities, Dataverse, and then Copilot Studio as well. And then last but not least, your Dynamics 365, your CE or customer engagement modules, where there's a native integration to sales as well as to field services. And then on the other side, third-party ISVs that we can extend your solution, that is basically focusing on that third-party market as a whole. And then here's just some examples of your Power BI reporting that now ships natively with the product. And again, these are being maintained and pushed by Microsoft to ultimately, just become better and giving you a little bit of more insight into your data so that you can quickly identify that, in September 2024, there was a massive drop in profit, and we can then go and identify exactly why. And then there you can see an example of your inventory valuation as well. So again, the main focus is to gain insight into your data. So enough about Business Central. If we talk about Shopify a little bit as well. So Shopify is a subscription-based software that allows literally anyone to go and set up an online store that allows you to go and sell your products with very, very, it's easy to ultimately get up and running. The Shopify platform in its own offers your retailers a suite of services, and that includes payments, your marketing, shipping to the customer from a fulfillment point of view, and then customer engagement tools as well. But there's always, if a company grows and they hit a certain point in time where you need to have a better system to do the fulfillment and the warehousing and then the financing of it as well, that's where the connector comes in. So let's talk about the connector. So Microsoft is heavily investing in this connector between the two. So, what is the connector? So the connector gives the customer the ability to connect their Shopify store or multiple stores to one Business Central instance or multiple companies within that instance in order for you to maximize your business productivity. Now you don't see Shopify and your ERP being Business Central as two separate entities. You actually see them as one unit, and you have transparency and native integration between those two. So why did Microsoft ultimately pursue Shopify? Well, it's a well-known, well-established e-commerce platform. They have a fantastic roadmap on their platform as well, and Microsoft has got a fantastic roadmap on their side. So it is not a fly-by-night; it is a well-deserved and well-known e-commerce platform, and that's partly why Microsoft is actually linking up with Shopify. And Shopify, as I said before, has got a few crucial or important features that actually brings out the functionality within Business Central as well. So the first one will be that you can actually have multiple Shopify shops and sync them up to Business Central. So it's not it doesn't restrict you to only have one shop, or what is the limitation from a shop or multiple shops point of view integrating into Business Central. We can have that bi-directional synchronization. So that might be products that basically goes from Business Central as your source of truth into Shopify. Or it might be that you modify and you amend some elements of it and you actually push it back into Business Central. And that would be also true for your sales that ultimately is landing within your Shopify after you've done the payment, and you know that the money is in the bank, and that sales order needs to flow back into Business Central so that you can do the fulfillment. But not just only that, it actually does sync back into Shopify to tell the Shopify users that the order has been fulfilled. Then we also have that fulfillment within Business Central. And this is where if you've got an organization that start off with Shopify, and initially it's good, they can maintain their stock levels and the fulfillment side, but there is a limit that basically creeps in that you want to have more capabilities from a fulfillment point of view. And that's where Business Central is very strong. So within BC, we have that full warehousing capabilities on multiple levels, whether it's basic warehousing with just basic picks and puts, or within the advanced warehousing where you've got that warehouse receipt, picks, puts, and warehouse shipment. And then all of that we can encapsulate with barcode scanning as well. So just taking it really to the next level as well. And then lastly, that synchronization of data, your inventory level. So if you have stock that is now sitting or residing within Business Central, because that's going to be your main warehouse functionality, and you really just want to have your Shopify site reflecting the stock availability, then that is a possibility as well. So as you can see, there's a harmony and a synergy between the Shopify and the Business Central using this connector that is being maintained by Microsoft. So if we look at a flow, and this will also be the base or the premises of my demo that I'm going to show you shortly, um, a typical flow will be, as Business Central is going to be your main source of truth, or the application that you'll use to go and create new stock items or products. You can encapsulate that item or product with item attributes. You can have a SKU, and that will be an item by location. You could even have some marketing text that you want to maintain in one application, and that being Business Central, and we can push that up into Shopify. We can also have that stock level availability that sits in Business Central, and we can seamlessly sync that up to Shopify. The product then becomes visible, and we are able to trade or have our consumers or customers see that product on the online platform, and that they can ultimately go and put it in a cart, see alternatives if that is being set up, and then basically go through the payment process and paying for that. So the customer will then ultimately place the order in Shopify and then do the payment as well. So that area is then being completely taken care of from a Shopify point of view. And then where the true integration becomes, adds a lot of value, will be the fact that that sales order now drops seamlessly into Business Central. So I've spoken to so many customers where they have CSV files exporting from a e-commerce platform and then having to upload that, or even manually capturing sales orders and hundreds of those per day. That now becomes an automated process where you can drop that sales order directly in BC and you can do the fulfillment side of it. And then it updates Shopify back that that order has been, shipped out to the customer, and that rinse and repeat.